Dear Olivia, I'm going to title this video, "This Isn't the Uncle Matt That Olivia Knew Growing Up." The first thing I want to say is that I do appreciate, Olivia, that you sent me back a message. You know, this impending but most definite divorce between Valerie and me, I recognize that everybody may not understand all of my reasons for deciding to divorce Valerie. And everybody may not understand the details that made it so that I was not permitted to go into my own home. The source of your information has not been me. And so there is going to be confusion when you talk to other people about me. You've had my phone number and you've had my messenger. We've been connected on Messenger for this whole time. And you've always had access to me. And so I wanted to take this video because now, if I'm not mistaken, you are either 19 or 20, and I'm happy about that. But I wanted to show you this graphic. Now, you recognize yourself in these pictures. On the left-hand side, that's you in your little white hat. And if I'm not mistaken, you're either 7, I believe. You're not 8 there. But as you can see, you're a tall person. You're tall. The picture that's next to it with me in my military uniform, that was the father-daughter dance. That's the first father-daughter dance that you've ever been to. I've only been to 2. One with you. So you were my first daughter dance, the person that accompanied me to a daughter dance. And then the second was my actual daughter, pictured at the top. We did that in Toma. And I wouldn't have even known about daughter dance, daddy-daughter dance, if it hadn't been for the military. So when I heard about it on the civilian side, of course, I gotta take my little baby. And of course, you know that's Nathan. I want to say he's 4 years old there. And that picture of me in the uniform with Nathan and the next one, that's my sister. Now, I have a quiz for you, and I would love for you to respond. I got a quiz for you. What is my sister's name, Olivia? You know, the Uncle Matt that you knew growing up. There is a Matt that's her brother right there. She actually grew up with me, just like you grew up with Jalen. And just like I was there for you when you were growing up. You know, the Uncle Matt that you knew. The Uncle Matt that Nathan knows. When you were in California, if you remember, that picture where you and me did the father and daughter dance, that was the beginning of your time living with us in California. And Nathan was 1, 2, and 3 years old. And you had been the closest thing that I had to a daughter ever since, and I'm going to tell the story in this video in a moment, but ever since your beginning. Okay? But when you came out to California, you know, this is when you, at that time you started wearing a training bra, and, you know, you're growing up, you're 11, 12, 13, You know, you that's a big deal that that the family, that Lysandra, your mother, that Valerie and Pearl, that all of them, not only were they happy that you got a chance to come out there to live in California for a while with us, but they had no problems allowing you and me to foster the close relationship. Now, it might not be close now because you wish that I would get the help that I need. And I know that it can be hard and confusing, but it needs to be done for this to really work. This isn't the Uncle Matt that I knew growing up. So, maybe the thing about it is that you only have your view. So here's the first part of the quiz, the first question. In the right-hand corner, there is a young lady that I grew up with. Do you know her name? Do you know my sister's name? Here's the second quiz question, Olivia. How many sisters do I have? Okay, that's the second question. Here's the third question. Is the sister pictured here? Which order is she in? Is she the oldest? Is she the youngest? Is she the middle? Is she the second from the youngest? Is she second from the oldest? What's the order? Like the children down here, the big picture, the one on the left and the one on the right were born around the same time. They happen to be twins. Here's another quiz question for you. What's their names? The young man on the left, what's his name, Olivia? The Uncle Matt that you knew growing up. What's his name? The young man in the middle, what's his name? The Uncle Matt that you knew growing up, what's his name? Since it can be confusing and you need me to get the help that I need. You prescribe what I need. The young lady, what's her name? Now, Olivia, all the time that you've spent with me, you have never, ever, ever been required by me or anyone to learn any of my family members. Right? Now, if you got any of the answers to this question, if you got any of the answers, my sister's names, what order they in, how many siblings I have, what my niece and nephew's names are, if you got any of these, if you got them all right, then I need to shut up. Like I would need to straight up be quiet. But if you would have to, call somebody or ask somebody for the answer to these, then that shows me that the Uncle Matt that you knew growing up, you didn't know me. You knew what you needed. This is what you needed when you were 6 years old. The picture on the left, you were close to that age. For your birthday or for some special significant day, you and me were headed to a museum or something. And we were standing at the bus stop. You put your hand in my hand and you said to me, Daddy. Now you have been calling me Uncle Matt all your life up until that point. And that's an awkward position to put me in. But you didn't say Daddy for no reason. But that's because you needed a father. And I was around. I was there. And I wasn't there with a motive of something crazy, something where Matt needs help. I didn't need help when you said daddy. Somebody in that scenario, you needed help. Here's what I did. I didn't say, go get the help you need. No, I provided the help that you need. I said to you, Olivia, you know I'm not your daddy. And you said to me, Uncle Matt, I know you're not my daddy, but can we just pretend for today? And at that moment, in my mind, there was an emotional attachment that led to that picture of you and me going to the father-daughter dance. I know when you say Uncle Matt, I know what that means. Father figure. Because prior to you and me going to the museum, and you said, Daddy, and I said, Olivia, I'm not your father. And you said, I know, Uncle Matt, but can we just pretend? Before that happened, didn't you go to your father? Didn't you spend time with your father and he let you know that he was not interested? Now, I could be wrong. And I've had enough time spent with you. You know, when you were out there in California living with us, and I was taking you to the dining facility and we were hiking up mountains and stuff like that, I didn't get a phone call from your father, from your biological dad. Not one. But guess what? You see how you can't name any of the people in this picture? Well, maybe you can. I don't know yet. We'll see. I'm waiting for your response. But I know your biological father's name. As far as I remember, they called him Tone. I remember him. I remember meeting him. I had a father growing up, Olivia. I know how important a dad is. I know how important it is. My sister pictured here. We had our father. A father is important. A father is so important, Olivia, that when you asked for one, God took over and gave you one in me. The Bible says, and this is God speaking when he said this, he said, I am a father to the fatherless. Olivia, you were fatherless. So the Uncle Matt that you knew growing up was a father figure, or whatever you want to call it. But I know what I was to you. And that's why I'm not upset with your words here. Because you're not educated in me. And now that Valerie and me are divorcing, I don't have any desire to ever see any of Valerie's tribe members, family members, ever again in life. The only ones that I care about is in this picture. Naomi, my actual daughter, my real daughter. My real daughter will never, ever walk up to me and say, Daddy, I want to have a relationship. And I reject her. Never. Absolutely never. I don't care what Valerie does to hold the children hostage. I don't care what she ever. You don't even understand, Olivia. You understand it from her perspective, because you're named after Valerie. You're named after her. That's her middle name. You're named after her. I know so much about you because I care about you and I do love you. And when Nathan came into the earth, you had Uncle Matt all to yourself. And you had to have the experience of watching me bond with Nathan. Pearl and Valerie had to explain to you that Matt finally has his own child. Yes, Uncle Matt cares about you. But you're 11, you're 12, your body is filling out in different ways and you got hormones and stuff like that. And he's playing with his 1 and 2 and 3-year-old son. And I would come into the house. Truth be told, when I came home from work, I didn't want to talk to Valerie. I didn't want to talk to Pearl. And I wanted to kiss you on the cheek to let you know that I still care about you and I still love you. But I wanted to walk by everybody, kiss you on the cheek, and say, hey, love you, girl. And you say, love me, Uncle Matt. I mean, I don't think that happened that much. But then I wanted to go in the room, close the door, and me and my son for the rest of the night. Me and my boys play some games, bounce up and down on the bed, run around, laugh, giggle, go into my studio area. I only wanted to be around my son because I finally got my own son. I was 35 when Nathan was born. 35 or 36. Now, here's another little story, tidbit. Since the Uncle Matt, that you knew growing up. When the twins were born, the one pictured on the left and the one on the right, when they were born, guess who I got a call from? I got a call from that sister, their mother. And she said, now I remember this. Okay? And if you ever care about me and you want to ever interact with my sister, you can. Olivia, she's not hard to reach. And ask her about this. She may not remember it as I do, but this was a very, very big moment in my life. Why? Because I kind of rejected them too. The one on the left and the one on the right. I kind of rejected them. And I didn't mean to. And I'm going to tell you something. Okay, let me tell you the story. I get a phone call from my sister. And she says, hey, Matt. I said, hey, how'd it go? I mean, it's fine. We're good. But I missed you. It would have been nice for my children to have their uncle. Their uncle, they needed their uncle. She said something like that. And what I said, I regret now a little bit that I ever said this. I regret it. And only time will tell if me saying this was worth it. Because right now, I wish you would get the help that you need. And I know it can be hard and confusing you educating me with your 20-year-old self. But it needs to get done for this to really work. This isn't the Uncle Matt that I knew growing up. This is you, sir, right? If this is the way you think about me, after you put your hand in my hand and called me dad, and after I flew you out to California, father-daughter dance, if those words can come out of your fingertips, your thumbs, if your thumbs can type those words, after everything that you have received from me, throughout your life, then the words that I told Tina, I will always regret it. And that's how I will talk about this for the rest of my life. I will definitely regret it. But I'm going to give a space of time. But here's what I told my sister when she told me. She said, Matt, you were not there for me during the birth of your niece and nephew. They are the first. Just like I have. Now you know how I spend time with my son. You know how much time I spent with you, Olivia. You know how much I love my little babies and how much I loved you. You know that. So you know that my niece and nephew, you know that they was going to get some love. You would have experienced what you experienced with Nathan. You would experience that way sooner. If I knew that the words you was going to say in 2020, in November of 2020, you was going to say, I need to get help. And you trying to advise me and let me know what my identity is? You, of all people? She said, Matt, your niece and nephew, their names are this and that. They would love to meet you. And I didn't meet them for years. And here's what I told Tina. I said, Tina, this is hard for me to say, but the good thing about your children is they have, and I listed, they have you, they have their father, they have their grandfather, which is our father, they have their grandfather on the father's side, they have the grandmother on the father's side, they have the auntie on the father's side, they have the auntie, my sister on other side, they've got the other uncle and the other uncle on our side, they got you don't even know my family, Olivia, because it wasn't required of you to know my family. For me to care about you. It wasn't required. It was non-transactional. The people that needed me was my sister. And all the people that I mentioned, these two niece and nephew of mine, they needed me. And if I'm gonna get words like this from you, and this is your attitude towards me, then I know that it was a waste of time. Because I told him, I said, your twins, they have all of these family members. But Olivia, the main one I've been hanging around, you. This is what I told my sister about you. That I'm spending a lot of time with you because you need a father. You need a father figure. And I was working 2 jobs. And I've been working 2 jobs throughout your entire life. Olivia, I don't know if you remember that. It's kind of hard to work 2 jobs and, be the Uncle Matt that you knew growing up. And then also be there for all the other people in my life that actually do need me. That actually do have a family bond. What's the bond between you and me? How do we know each other, Olivia? How did we get to know each other? Were you born into my family? No. What right do you have to have any attitude about me? What right do you have? Seriously. My niece and nephew, do you know that they have never, ever, ever said to me, Uncle Matt, I wish you were there when I was born. No. When I come around them, they give me hugs and give me love. And I give them hugs and give them love. That's my babies. Right? They don't got no attitude. My niece and nephew, they didn't say to me, I wish you would get the help you need. And I know that it can be hard and confusing, but it needs to get done for this to really work. This isn't the Uncle Matt that I knew growing up. They never said nothing like that to me. So all I'm saying, this is not a check yourself thing, because I want you to be who you are. If this is how you truly, in your gut heart, then that's fine. And I can accept it. But I just want you to know that these pictures, they exist because the situations exist. I am a part of your upbringing, and you're actually a part of my upbringing. And Olivia, if going forward, you're going to have an attitude that rejects me in the year 2020 and going forward, if you're rejecting me, then it lets me know that all the time that I ever spent with you, and all the time, and all the resources, everything, every Uncle Matt memory was a waste of my time. And my sister and my niece and my nephew, they sacrificed me for you, and you rejected and treated like you deserved it. Like that's just what you're supposed to have. You didn't deserve me at all, Olivia. If you're rejecting me, that's cool. I can accept your rejection. But it just lets me know that maybe your father was smart and wise to reject you, and I was dumb to accept you. That's what that, because if you reject me now, then that means I should have rejected you too. So consider that. Get back to me. Let me know if you are rejecting me. Because if you are, then I'm going to be able to make sure that as I talk about my life in the ministry that I've got, I want to make sure that I have the right perspective of the people around me. Here's the answer, Olivia. My sister's name is Tina. From the left to the right, my nephew's name is Mason, and that's Major, and that's Mackenzie. And Major and Nathan are the same age. All three of my women at the time, my sister and my sister, both of my sisters, they were both pregnant at the same time as Valerie was pregnant. Now, if you don't know those basic things about me, then that means you didn't know Uncle Matt while you was growing up, because you didn't have to know Uncle Matt growing up. I'm sending you this message, Olivia, because I do love you. And just because I'm divorcing Valerie, and I'm very happy to divorce her, it doesn't mean that I'm divorcing you. But if you consider yourself, you know, Valerie's property and you have to take a side, and taking her side is better for you, that's fine. And I'm not asking you to take a side. Because guess what, Olivia? My sister and me, both of us have a relationship with both our mother and our father. Do you have a relationship with your father? Right now, as in 2020, you rejected me. Just like I need my father right now. I'm in my 40s. Do you know how old I am? My children need me, and my family needs me. And there's one of the last thing I'll say. The last thing I'll say is this: that Olivia, if you could take from me, knowing that I could have distributed some of my love and my care towards my own niece and nephew, if you could do that, and then when you're fully grown, reject me, if you could do that, then in my mind, you are not worth being around my children. Because if you don't love me, you definitely don't love my children. You definitely don't love them. You definitely do not love them. You may think you love them. Rejecting me is proof. Because you've already proven it to my niece and nephew. And my niece and nephew, they've never held it against you. You've never said thank you to them. You've never said thank you to Tina. You've never said thank you to my father. You've never said thank you to anybody. You've never had to interact with anybody in my family line. So the help that I need, I'm going to tell you what I needed to do in a future video. I need to do exactly what I'm doing right now, and that is divorcing Valerie, so that I could live a life where people don't take from you for decades and then reject you when they don't need you no more. My family never rejected me. I put my family to the side for you in a lot of ways. And if you don't see that, now I just told you, I done gave you 30-something minutes. You've never heard me say this. You should have already known this story, Olivia. You should have already known. Everything I'm telling you right now, you should have already known. And if any of this information that I told you is new, then that means I wasted my time, unfortunately. And that's the thing that I'm sad about. That's the hard part. It's not confusing though. And it ain't gonna be hard going forward. So thank you for your rejection if that's the case. Let me know if you are officially rejecting me. I still love you, Olivia. I'll talk to you later.